When an elderly loved one begins to need care, families are often faced with difficult and emotional decisions. The challenge is not just about choosing the right care option, but also about ensuring their well-being, dignity, and happiness. Many families, under pressure, make quick decisions without fully understanding the long-term consequences. A rushed choice could lead to loneliness, financial strain, or a loss of independence for the elderly. But here's the good news: these mistakes can be avoided. By recognizing the most common pitfalls and making informed choices, families can create a plan that truly benefits their loved ones. In this video, we explore 7 common mistakes people make when choosing senior care services, along with practical solutions to help avoid these mistakes. If you're worried about making the right choice, don't be. With the right knowledge and approach, you can ensure that your loved one receives the best care possible while maintaining their dignity and quality of life. Before we begin, I'd really appreciate it if you liked this video. It helps me keep sharing more important lessons. If you haven't subscribed yet, I highly recommend hitting the subscribe button and turning on the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Also, if you enjoy this video, please comment 1. If you don't, comment 0 so I know how to improve. Now, let's get started. Mistake 1: rushing to choose a nursing home without considering other options. Many families, when faced with an aging loved one who needs care, assume that a nursing home is the only option. Pressured by time and uncertainty, they often make quick decisions without fully considering the emotional, financial, and long-term effects. While nursing homes provide professional medical care, they are not always the best solution. Rushing into this decision without exploring alternatives, such as in-home care, assisted living, or family caregiving, can lead to unnecessary stress, loss of independence, and regret. Instead of defaulting to a nursing home, families should carefully assess all available options to ensure their loved one's well-being and quality of life. One of the biggest concerns with making a rushed decision is the emotional impact on the elderly person. Many seniors feel abandoned, isolated, or even depressed after being placed in a facility, especially if they were not part of the decision-making process. The sudden change in environment, loss of personal space, and reduced autonomy can be overwhelming. In some cases, the stress of transitioning to a nursing home may accelerate cognitive decline or worsen existing health conditions. When seniors are forced into a living situation they are unhappy with, their emotional distress can negatively affect their overall health and well-being. Financial strain is another major issue families face when choosing a nursing home without careful planning. Many nursing homes cost thousands of dollars per month, and while Medicaid or long-term care insurance may help, not all facilities accept these programs. Families who do not explore financial options in advance may find themselves depleting savings or struggling to cover ongoing costs. In contrast, in-home care or assisted living may provide a more affordable and flexible alternative, allowing the senior to receive support while maintaining a sense of independence. Without considering these possibilities, families may later realize they could have chosen a more sustainable option. To avoid this mistake, families should take the time to explore all available care options before making a final decision. Having open discussions with the elderly person about their preferences is essential. Some seniors may prefer to stay at home with the help of a part-time caregiver, while others may benefit from an assisted living community where they can maintain social connections. Researching financial resources, such as veterans benefits, home care programs, or state assistance, can also help families find a solution that fits their budget without compromising care quality. A real-life example highlights the importance of thoughtful decision-making. Ellen's family placed her in a nursing home immediately after a minor fall, believing it was the safest option. However, after 6 months, they noticed she had become withdrawn and unhappy. Realizing their mistake, they transitioned her back home with a daytime caregiver, and her mood improved significantly. Ultimately, nursing homes can be beneficial, but they should not be the default solution. By researching options, considering financial implications, and involving the elderly person in the decision, families can create a care plan that prioritizes dignity, independence, and overall well-being. Mistake 2. Ignoring the opinion of the elderly person. Many families, when making decisions about elderly care, unintentionally exclude the most important voice in the discussion, the elderly person themselves. Whether due to urgency, overprotectiveness, or the belief that they know what's best, family members often make care arrangements without consulting their loved one. This mistake can lead to frustration, emotional distress, and even resistance to care. While family members may have good intentions, ignoring the elderly person's opinion undermines their dignity and autonomy. Instead of making decisions for them, families should engage in open discussions, ensuring that their wishes and concerns are respected. One of the most serious consequences of disregarding an elderly person's opinion is the emotional toll it takes on them. Losing control over personal decisions, especially regarding where they live and how they receive care, can lead to feelings of helplessness and resentment. Many seniors who feel unheard withdraw emotionally, leading to depression and anxiety. In some cases, they may even resist care, making it more difficult for family members to provide support. When elderly individuals are forced into a living arrangement they do not want, their overall well-being suffers, making it harder for them to adjust and find happiness in their new environment. Beyond emotional distress, ignoring their input can result in care arrangements that do not align with their actual needs or comfort. A decision that seems logical to the family may not suit the senior's lifestyle or personal preferences. For example, a family may assume that a nursing home is the safest option, but the elderly person might value independence and prefer in-home care. Some may want to stay close to their community and friends, while others may have specific requirements regarding their daily routine or medical care. When families fail to consult their loved one, they risk making choices that lead to dissatisfaction, frustration, and unnecessary disruptions in their life. To avoid this mistake, families must prioritize communication. Instead of making assumptions, they should involve the elderly person in discussions about their care. Asking questions such as "Where would you feel most comfortable living?" or "What kind of support do you need?" allows them to express their feelings. Listening without judgment and considering their emotional well-being is just as important as addressing their physical health. When seniors feel heard and respected, they are more likely to cooperate with care decisions, making the transition smoother for everyone involved. A real-life example highlights the importance of valuing an elderly person's voice. James, an 82-year-old widower, was placed in a nursing home by his family without being asked. Feeling powerless and isolated, he became withdrawn and depressed. However, after months of discomfort, his family finally asked where he wanted to live. When they moved him back home with part-time caregiver support, his mood and overall health improved dramatically. This case demonstrates that simply listening can make a significant difference in an elderly person's well-being. Ultimately, elderly individuals deserve to have a say in their own care. By respecting their opinions and involving them in decisions, families can create a care plan that supports both their physical and emotional needs, ensuring a more positive and respectful experience. Mistake 3. Underestimating the actual cost of elderly care. Many families underestimate the actual cost of elderly care, assuming that personal savings, insurance, or government assistance will be enough to cover expenses. However, long-term care can be far more expensive than expected, leading to financial strain and difficult choices down the road. Whether opting for in-home care, assisted living, or a nursing facility, costs can quickly add up. Without careful financial planning, families may struggle to afford the necessary level of care, forcing them to make disruptive adjustments that negatively affect their elderly loved one's stability and well-being. Understanding the full financial picture is essential to ensuring consistent and high-quality care. One of the main reasons families miscalculate the cost of elderly care is that they overlook hidden expenses. Many people focus only on the base cost of a nursing home or caregiver services but fail to account for additional fees such as medication management, transportation, home modifications, or specialized care for conditions like dementia. Assisted living facilities often charge extra for personal assistance, medical needs, and recreational programs, while in-home care costs can rise significantly if a senior's health declines and requires 24-hour support. Failing to consider these ongoing and unexpected costs can leave families financially unprepared, forcing them to cut back on services or switch care options unexpectedly. Another common mistake is assuming that government assistance will cover all expenses. While Medicaid helps low-income seniors with long-term care costs, not all nursing homes accept Medicaid patients, and eligibility requirements vary by state. Medicare, on the other hand, does not pay for long-term nursing home stays or continuous in-home care, only short-term rehabilitation following hospitalization. Families who rely on these programs without fully understanding their limitations may find themselves suddenly facing large out-of-pocket expenses. Without a backup financial plan, they may be forced to compromise on the quality or stability of their loved one's care. To avoid this mistake, families should start planning for elderly care expenses as early as possible. Researching various care options, comparing costs, and exploring funding sources such as long-term care insurance, veterans benefits, and state assistance programs can help create a more secure financial plan. Consulting with a financial advisor can also provide guidance on managing assets, budgeting for care, and preparing for unforeseen costs. Being proactive about financial planning allows families to select a care option that aligns with their budget while maintaining their loved one's quality of life. A real-life example illustrates the impact of financial preparation. Tom's family placed him in a high-end nursing home, assuming their savings would last. However, after 2 years, they ran out of funds and had to move him to a lower-quality facility, causing stress and instability. Had they planned more carefully, they could have chosen a more sustainable option from the beginning, avoiding the disruption. Ultimately, elderly care requires both financial and emotional preparation. By understanding the full cost of care and making informed financial decisions, families can ensure their loved one receives consistent, high-quality support without unnecessary financial hardship. Mistake 4. Not preparing the home for the elderly's needs. Many families choose to have their elderly loved ones live at home, believing it to be the most comfortable and familiar option. However, one critical mistake they often make is failing to modify the home to accommodate the senior's changing physical needs. Without proper adjustments, the home environment can become a source of danger, increasing the risk of falls, injuries, and daily struggles. Preparing the home in advance not only enhances safety but also allows seniors to maintain their independence for as long as possible. Ignoring this step can lead to preventable accidents and, in some cases, force an earlier transition to a nursing home or assisted living facility. One of the most common risks for seniors living at home is falling. As mobility decreases with age, obstacles such as stairs, slippery floors, and poor lighting become major hazards. Bathrooms, in particular, are dangerous due to wet surfaces that increase the likelihood of slips. Without installing grab bars, non-slip mats, or walk-in tubs, seniors face a significantly higher risk of injury. Falls can lead to serious health complications, including fractures or head trauma, which may result in long hospital stays or permanent mobility issues. Unfortunately, many families only recognize these dangers after an accident occurs, rather than taking proactive steps to prevent them. Another overlooked issue is accessibility within the home. Many seniors struggle with everyday tasks such as reaching for high cabinets, getting in and out of bed, or moving around tight spaces. If a home is not adjusted to meet these needs, simple daily activities can become difficult, frustrating, and even dangerous. Installing handrails along hallways and staircases, lowering kitchen storage, and ensuring doorways are wide enough for walkers or wheelchairs can make a significant difference. These small but essential changes help seniors maintain their independence while reducing the risk of accidents or physical strain. In addition to physical modifications, technology can play a crucial role in home safety. Medical alert systems, for instance, allow seniors to call for help in emergencies, providing peace of mind for both them and their families. Smart home devices, such as automated lighting and voice-controlled appliances, can reduce the need for unnecessary movement, making daily life easier and safer. Investing in these simple but effective solutions ensures that seniors can navigate their homes with greater confidence and security. A real-life example highlights the importance of home preparation. Linda, an 80-year-old woman, lived independently in her family home. Her children assumed she was safe until she fell down the stairs due to the absence of handrails. The injury forced her into a nursing home earlier than expected, something she had hoped to avoid. Had her family recognized the risks and made simple modifications beforehand, she could have remained at home safely for several more years. Ultimately, creating a senior-friendly home is essential for promoting independence and preventing avoidable accidents. By assessing potential hazards and making necessary adjustments early, families can ensure that their loved ones remain safe, comfortable, and self-sufficient for as long as possible, avoiding the disruptions caused by preventable injuries. Mistake 5. Relying too much on a single caregiver. Many families, when faced with the challenge of elderly care, rely too heavily on a single caregiver, often a spouse, adult child, or close relative. While this approach may seem practical initially, it can quickly lead to exhaustion, emotional strain, and even resentment. Caregiving is a demanding responsibility that requires physical, mental, and emotional energy, and expecting one person to handle it all can be overwhelming. Without adequate support, the primary caregiver may suffer from burnout, ultimately affecting both their well-being and the quality of care provided to the elderly loved one. To ensure long-term stability, families must recognize the risks of overburdening one caregiver and take proactive steps to share responsibilities. One of the biggest risks of relying too much on a single caregiver is burnout. Caregiving often involves managing medications, assisting with mobility, handling medical appointments, and providing emotional support, often while balancing personal and professional obligations. Over time, the continuous demands can lead to exhaustion, stress, and even health problems for the caregiver. Burnout can cause emotional distress, making the caregiver feel isolated, overwhelmed, or even resentful. As a result, their ability to provide compassionate and effective care may decline, ultimately impacting the well-being of the elderly person. Beyond the caregiver's well-being, this imbalance also affects the senior receiving care. When a caregiver is overworked, the quality of care may suffer. Fatigue and stress can lead to unintentional neglect, irritability, or a breakdown in communication between the caregiver and the elderly person. Additionally, if the primary caregiver becomes sick or unable to continue, the family may be forced to make abrupt decisions about alternative care arrangements. This sudden transition can be unsettling for the elderly person, leading to emotional distress and disruptions in their routine. To avoid this mistake, families should distribute caregiving responsibilities among multiple people. This can be done by involving other family members, hiring professional caregivers for additional support, or seeking assistance from community resources. Even small contributions, such as a sibling managing grocery shopping or a neighbor checking in regularly, can help relieve the primary caregiver's workload. Respite care, which provides temporary relief for caregivers, is another valuable option that allows them to take necessary breaks while ensuring their loved one continues to receive proper care. A real-life example demonstrates why shared caregiving is essential. Henry's daughter, Lisa, took on full responsibility for his care after he developed mobility issues. At first, she managed well, but over time, the stress became overwhelming. Eventually, she had no choice but to place him in a nursing home, something she had hoped to avoid. Had she involved other family members or sought external support earlier, she could have maintained a healthier balance and kept him at home longer. Ultimately, elderly care should never fall entirely on one person's shoulders. By sharing responsibilities, seeking external assistance, and prioritizing caregiver well-being, families can create a more sustainable and supportive care environment that benefits both the caregiver and the elderly loved one. Mistake 6. Overlooking the elderly's mental health. When families focus on elderly care, they often prioritize physical health, ensuring proper nutrition, medication management, and safety, while overlooking mental and emotional well-being. However, neglecting the psychological needs of older adults can have serious consequences. Loneliness, depression, and a lack of social engagement are common among seniors, yet many families fail to recognize these struggles until they manifest in physical health problems. While medical care is essential, maintaining mental well-being is just as critical for seniors' overall quality of life. Families who ignore this aspect may unknowingly contribute to emotional distress, accelerating cognitive decline and reducing their loved one's happiness. One of the biggest challenges seniors face is loneliness. As they age, they often experience significant life changes, retirement, the loss of friends or a spouse, or physical limitations that make it harder to socialize. Without meaningful interaction, many elderly individuals feel isolated, which can lead to depression and anxiety. Studies have shown that prolonged loneliness increases the risk of dementia, heart disease, and even premature death. Unfortunately, families often assume that meeting basic needs, such as providing meals and medical care, is enough. They may not realize that emotional and social stimulation is equally vital to maintaining long-term health. Another factor often ignored is the loss of purpose that many seniors experience. After decades of work and family responsibilities, aging individuals may struggle with feelings of uselessness when they are no longer able to contribute in the same way. This loss of identity can lead to a sense of emptiness, which may result in depression. While families may assume their loved one simply needs rest, the reality is that many seniors need opportunities to stay engaged, whether through hobbies, social activities, or simply having meaningful conversations. Without this, their mental well-being can rapidly decline, making them more vulnerable to health issues. To avoid this mistake, families must take an active role in supporting the emotional and social needs of their elderly loved ones. Encouraging participation in social activities, such as senior community programs, religious gatherings, or group exercises, can provide a sense of belonging. Engaging in regular conversations, asking about their feelings, and showing genuine interest in their thoughts can also make a significant difference. Even small gestures, like including them in family decisions or asking for their advice, can help them feel valued and connected. If depression or anxiety is suspected, seeking professional counseling or therapy can provide additional support. A real-life example illustrates the impact of addressing mental health. Rose, an 81-year-old widow, moved in with her son's family but became increasingly quiet and withdrawn. At first, they assumed she was simply adjusting, but over time, she showed signs of depression. When they encouraged her to join a local senior center and reconnect with old friends, her mood and energy levels improved dramatically. This simple step helped her regain a sense of purpose and connection. Ultimately, elderly care must go beyond physical health. By prioritizing mental well-being, families can ensure that their loved ones remain emotionally fulfilled, socially engaged, and truly happy in their later years. Mistake 7. Delaying long-term care planning. Many families delay planning for long-term elderly care, assuming they have plenty of time or believing they can handle issues as they arise. However, waiting until a crisis occurs often leads to rushed, costly, and emotionally stressful decisions. Without a clear plan in place, families may be forced to make quick choices about nursing homes, home care, or medical needs under pressure, rather than considering all available options carefully. Proactive planning allows families to make informed, thoughtful decisions that align with their loved one's needs, financial situation, and personal preferences, ensuring a smoother transition when the time comes. One of the most common consequences of delaying care planning is the risk of making decisions in an emergency. If an elderly loved one experiences a sudden health crisis, such as a fall, stroke, or cognitive decline, families may have to find immediate care without the luxury of researching alternatives. This can lead to choosing an expensive or unsuitable nursing facility, settling for inadequate in-home care, or disrupting the elderly person's stability by moving them abruptly. Without prior discussions and preparations, families often find themselves overwhelmed, unsure of what their loved one truly wants, and financially unprepared for the costs associated with quality care. Another issue that arises from delayed planning is the financial strain it places on families. Many people underestimate the costs of long-term care, assuming that Medicare or savings will cover everything. However, Medicare only pays for short-term rehabilitation, not long-term nursing home stays or ongoing in-home care. Medicaid has strict eligibility requirements, and private care can cost thousands of dollars per month. Families who delay planning may find themselves scrambling to pay for unexpected expenses, potentially depleting savings or making last-minute, less-than-ideal care arrangements. By preparing in advance, families can explore financial options such as long-term care insurance, government assistance programs, or savings plans to ensure they are not caught off guard. To avoid this mistake, families should start discussing long-term care options before it becomes an immediate need. These conversations should include the elderly person's preferences regarding where they would like to receive care, how they feel about assisted living or nursing homes, and any specific medical or personal considerations they have. Legal and financial planning should also be addressed, including power of attorney, advanced directives, and reviewing available financial resources. Taking these steps early allows families to plan for care in a way that maintains their loved one's dignity, comfort, and financial security. A real-life example illustrates the importance of early planning. Paul's family never discussed his long-term care preferences, assuming they could handle any situation if needed. However, when he suffered a sudden stroke, they had to find a nursing home immediately. Without financial planning, they struggled to cover costs, and Paul was placed in a facility that did not meet his needs. Had they planned earlier, they could have arranged in-home care or a more suitable living situation, ensuring a better quality of life. Ultimately, delaying long-term care planning creates unnecessary stress and limits choices. By preparing in advance, families can ensure their elderly loved one receives the best possible care while maintaining stability, dignity, and financial security. Planning for elderly care is one of the most important responsibilities a family faces, yet many people make avoidable mistakes that can negatively impact their loved one's well-being. The 7 common mistakes: rushing into a nursing home, ignoring the elderly person's opinion, underestimating costs, failing to prepare the home, relying too much on a single caregiver, overlooking mental health, and delaying long-term care planning can create unnecessary stress, financial strain, and emotional distress. However, the good news is that with careful planning, open discussions, and proactive decision-making, families can prevent these mistakes and provide a more stable, dignified, and fulfilling life for their aging loved ones. Avoiding these mistakes requires awareness and action. Families should take time to explore all care options, engage in meaningful conversations with their elderly relatives, and create a financial plan that ensures sustainable care. Additionally, making necessary home modifications, balancing caregiving responsibilities, and prioritizing mental well-being will help seniors maintain independence and a higher quality of life. By planning ahead, families can avoid making rushed decisions that lead to regret and instead create a care plan that truly supports their loved one's physical and emotional needs. Now is the time to take action. Don't wait until a crisis forces you to make difficult choices under pressure. Start reviewing your family's care plan today, discuss options with your loved ones, and ensure that financial and legal preparations are in place. Small steps taken now can prevent significant problems in the future. Your elderly loved one deserves the best possible care, and with thoughtful preparation, you can give them the comfort, security, and dignity they need in their later years.